Hello, Kenny from Embroidery Library here. I'd like to show you how to make a custom fit and custom designed sewing or embroidery machine cover. Here's how it's done. Measure the dimensions of the machine. Use a tape measure to measure the width of the machine at the front along the bottom. This measurement is used to determine the width of the cover. Next, at the thickest part of the machine, measure from the bottom of the back up and around to the bottom of the front. This measurement is used to determine the height of the cover. Cut a piece of quilted cotton fabric using your measurements. Now I will decide where to place the designs. Drape the fabric over the machine. I'm using templates of the designs that I printed from embroidery software. Position the designs where you like and use masking tape to tape them in place. I'm leaving some space under this border design for room to add the pocket later on. Remove the fabric from the machine and lay it flat. Mark the center point and the horizontal and vertical axis lines and remove the templates. Hoop the fabric with one piece of cutaway stabilizer. Align the marks on the hoop with the marks on the fabric. Attach the hoop to the machine and load the first design. Move the hoop so the needle is right over the center point. Embroider the design. After the design has finished, trim away the excess stabilizer on the back side of the embroidery. Then hoop the fabric again and embroider the second design. To create the pocket, measure the area that was left open. Mine measures 9 inches wide by 5 inches high, so I cut a piece of cotton fabric to those dimensions. For the pocket trim, cut a piece of cotton fabric the width of the pocket by 1 1/4 inch high. Align the trim fabric along the top edge of the pocket fabric, right sides together, and pin in place. Sew a 1/4 inch seam along the top edge. Press the seam with an iron. Lay the front pocket piece on top of the print quilted cotton, right sides together, pin in place, and cut around the shape of the front piece. Sew a 1/4 inch seam along the side and top edges only. Leave the bottom edge open. Turn the fabric right side out and press the seams. Turn the fabric of the opening in 1/2 inch and press. Position the pocket in the lower right corner of the cover, leaving at least 1 inch of space in between the outer edges of the pocket and the edges of the fabric. Pin in place. Sew a 1/4 inch seam along the side and bottom edges only. Now I will cut the fabric for the top and bottom trim of the cover. Cut 2 pieces of cotton fabric the width of the cover by 1 1/4 inch high. Align the trim pieces along the top and bottom edges of the cover, right sides together, and pin in place. Sew a 1/4 inch seam along the top and bottom edges. For the side trim, cut 2 pieces of fabric to 1 1/4 inch wide by the height of the cover, including the trim. Align the side trim on top of the cover, right sides together, pin in place, and sew a 1/4 inch seam along the side edges. Now I will create the straps. Measure the side of the machine at its widest point. I want the cover to fit snug on the machine, so I'm cutting 2 strips of elastic to 6 inches long. Then cut 4 pieces of cotton fabric to twice the length of the elastic by 2 1/2 inches high. I'm cutting my fabric pieces to 12 inches wide by 2 1/2 inches high. Pair the fabric pieces together, right sides together, and pin in place. Sew a 1/2 inch seam along each long edge. Leave the short ends open. Turn the fabric right side out and insert the elastic strips inside. Turn one end of the fabric in 1/2 inch and pin. Gather the fabric up along the elastic strip, allowing about 1 inch of the elastic to extend out the opposite end. Pin in place. Cut 2 5-inch lengths of 1/8 inch wide ribbon. Form the ribbon into loops and insert them inside the folded ends of the straps and pin in place. Sew a 1/4 inch seam along each end of the straps. Lay the front cover piece on top of the print quilted cotton, right sides together, pin in place, and cut around the shape of the front piece. Fold the cover in half lengthwise, wrong sides together, and insert the straps in between the fabric layers halfway between the folded edge and the bottom edge along each side. Allow about 1 inch of the raw ends of the straps to extend out past the edges of the fabric. Pin in place. Unfold the fabric and sew a 1/4 inch seam along the outer edges, leaving about 6 inches open along the bottom. Turn the cover right side out and press the seams. Turn the fabric of the opening in 1/4 inch and hand sew it closed. Fold the cover lengthwise with the inner lining sides together. Add a 1 inch button along the side edge of the back cover. Align it with the strap on the front, about 1 1/2 inch in from the edge. These machine covers are fashionable and functional. Keep your most used sewing notions handy right inside the front pocket. Have fun pairing your favorite designs and fabric prints to create unique looks. Thanks for watching. For machine embroidery designs, step-by-step instructions, and more tutorials, visit our website, www.emblibrary.com.